Welcome to our first successful Women's Luncheon for 2021. We are honored and excited to hear from our speaker today, Georgiana Johnson. She was with us, I think, a little over 5 years ago, and we're excited to get an update from her. My name is Lauren Smith, and I am the Broken Arrow Board of Directors Chair for 2021. Thank you for joining us virtually today. We all hope that we can be together again in person very soon. We do have some new sponsors for this year that we want to take a moment to recognize. Without them and their support, events like this wouldn't be possible. So thank you to our presenting sponsor, NetLeak Solutions. Our gold sponsors are Arrow Exterminators, Balanced Bookkeeping, Harmon Insurance, Hayhurst Funeral Home, Littleton Legal, and Nelson Nissan. And now I would like to hand it off to Amber to tell us about our upcoming events. Amber?
Well, hi there. Welcome to 2021 virtually. We're going to continue some virtual events for the next little bit and then hopefully get right back into seeing all of you great people in person. So up next is our legislative breakfast. It'll be Friday, February 5th. Oklahoma State Chamber President and CEO Chad Wormington will speak to us about how we can affect positive change in our state. That will also be a virtual event, so we'll get there. Right after that, on February 10th, will be our Chamber Luncheon. Join us as we hear about how our community is working to build a strong and growing workforce and how that will directly impact our local businesses. So very good to know about that. We need to get that workforce strong, and so we'll hear all about that on the 10th. Following that is our Chamber After Hours, Tuesday, February 16th. We're going to be with our friends at the brand new Nook Brewing Company. Join us for delicious drinks and lots of fun. And we've come up with a super fun way to network safely and effectively. So join us there at the Nook on Tuesday the 16th. And last but not least, coming up, I want you to save the date for March 30th. That is going to be Restaurant Palooza. We'll host that at Stony Creek. And so we'll have all of our great, awesome Broken Arrow restaurants there where we get to taste it and have some drinks. And we're going to do live music this year and some possible live cooking demonstrations. So we're really taking this up a notch. So I hope to see you for that. So next up, and to introduce our awesome speaker today, I have Miss Farrah Phillips.
Hello, everyone. Gosh, it seems like it's been so long since I've seen many of you. I hope that you are happy and healthy and hopeful, like I am, that good things are coming soon. We hope. I just know that God's light is shining down on all of us. And that light gives us hope and renewed life. And because of that, I know we'll all be together soon. Sorry, I'm gonna cry. I miss everyone so much. But for now, virtually, we are so excited to introduce this amazing lady. Georgiana Johnson has been was worn many hats through the years and has been mostly successful at what she's put her hand to. She's been married for 30 years, raised 2 daughters, and has a son-in-law. But this is really cool. Georgiana was part of the cast of season 4 of Extreme Weight Loss in 2014. Her experiences on that show redefined how she saw health, success, and her self-esteem. From there, she continued to work on herself physically, mentally, emotionally, and professionally. Georgiana loves to share her story and hopes to inspire others to work on being their best selves. So ladies, Georgiana Johnson.
I'm making sure my husband has unmuted me. I'm so glad to be here. Yes, I spoke at a BA Chamber Luncheon. Am I unmuted? My husband's making a face, so I want to make sure everything's good. Yeah, I guess so, unless we hear something different. I'll keep moving forward. I think we're good. I did get this opportunity to speak at a Chamber Luncheon a few years ago. I had, I think it was very shortly after the show, and was very excited to share with you then. And so glad to be here today and honored to be asked to speak today. As she said, I've been married for 30 years. I'm going to spend a little time just introducing myself. This is my husband, Scott. He's kind of behind the camera today helping me. We have been married for 30 years. We just celebrated. The picture on the left is from, we went to Mexico for our 30th anniversary in December. Yes, we do look really young, and we got married when we were 10, as you can see. I'm kidding, obviously. This is my family. As she stated, I have 2 adult daughters. This is Chelsea and Francie, my son-in-law, John. Chelsea and John are married. For you Broken Arrow peeps, you may recognize my girls. They're both baristas at Larnay Bakery. So they actually work locally there for Larnay. And they love it when people tell them that they know their mom. So if you go in there and you see either one of them, be sure and tell them that you were on this today and that you got to see me. One of them loves it. One of them doesn't, actually. I'm a dog mom. These are my boys, and they are home today too. So I will pre-apologize if you hear any barking, snoring, weird grunts, because they don't understand why I'm standing in front of the TV talking. That's Rondo and Arthur, and they're my babies now. I'm the kind of dog mom that says bye and tells them when I'm going to be back, even though I know they don't know. As she said, I was on extreme weight loss on season 4 that we filmed from, let's see, the casting started in April of 2013. I left full-time to do the show for 3 months. I was in Denver for 3 months in the fall of 2013, wrapped up filming in May of 2014, and it aired that summer. So if you're familiar with me at all, it's probably from that. That was a big part of my life. I remember during casting, they said that your life will kind of be split from before you did the show and after. And I would say that's true, not just because I was on a TV show, but because of the experiences I went through really redefined and changed how I looked at myself, what I thought I wanted out of life, what I thought healthy was, and it made me kind of take stock and really changed my life going forward. One, because I lost a lot of weight and was healthier and felt better, but 2, like I said, it just changed a lot of things about the way I see things. Professionally, at the time, I was managing the Pandora store at Woodland Hills. That's actually my connection. Francesca is part of the BA Chamber and suggested me for this today. So she was a high school senior there then and worked for me. So I was managing the Pandora store when I actually left my job to do the show. I took a few years off, and after the show, I coached, was getting up at 4:15 every day for several years, and was exhausted basically, and decided I felt like I wanted to go back to work. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I kept seeing some posts from a friend of mine on Facebook about their amazing business, and I just literally sent a Facebook message and reached out to my friend Amy Whitmarsh for Remax Results. And so I've worked for Remax for the last about 3.5 years. I love it because one, it's a local business, they're local franchises, so I work for local owners, and 2, it's a female-owned business. So they're tuning in. So shout out to my Remax peeps. Amy's on today. So I love what I do. I'm the Director of Strategic Growth for Remax Results. We have 4 offices. We have our Owasso office, which is the main hub where I work out of. We have a Tulsa office, a brand new office at 81st and Mingo. We have a Bartlesville office, and we have a Skiatook office. What I do for them is I oversee onboarding and making a smooth transition for agents that transfer or new agents that come into Remax. That's the main focus of my job. But I've kind of just also been a right-hand gal to the owners and just do whatever they need. And it's been an amazing experience. I live in Catoosa. I was an Owassowite, or Owassen, however you say it, for 15 years. And we moved to new construction here in Catoosa. And so what that has done is connected me to Broken Arrow. Living in Owasso, BA wasn't somewhere that I went on a regular basis. But moving to Catoosa, I found that it's just an easy jump down 193rd to get to kind of the retail area. Also, like I said, my girls work at Larnay, so we love to go there. And so it's been great to kind of have the BA side of Tulsa opened up to me, and we really love spending time down there. Because I can't see you or hear you or get any feedback from you, it's a little different talking and giving a speech, because I'm used to kind of at least seeing faces and nods that tell me that things are going well or I'm connecting with people. So what I'd love for you to do is just hit the chat. One, if you have a question Or two, if you like something I said or it resonates with you, I'd love a little thumbs up or something so I can look at that when I'm done and know that that there was a connection there with us today. So we're going to jump in today. Oh, there's me. Sorry. I did that because when I did the show, I lost a lot of weight, obviously. Keeping it off was a challenge. I've gained some weight back, and that's okay. That's part of my journey and what I'm learning. And this is me today. I'm also standing here, but I wasn't sure that you could get a very good glimpse of me. So I think we can all relate to this when we're talking about balance in our lives. It's a challenge, I think, for women especially to find balance in their lives. We're expected to, you know, do everything and get it all done. I think we've had those moments of, should I sleep? Should I shower? I could sleep in the shower, but I'm also starving. You know, when do we ever find the time to do everything we need? I love The Office. I love this one. It's me trying to keep my house clean, work a full-time job, feed my family, check on parents, not get COVID, maintain my brows, work out, smile, meet up with friends, and now homeschool my kids. For many of you, your kids went on spring break last year and then they never went back to school. And this year has been a morph of distance learning and sending your kids to school. So the balance or any routine that we created in our lives kind of went out the window in 2020, didn't it? So today I'm going to share 5 steps that I have kind of used as my guideline for trying to create some balance in my life. I'm sure there's more, but this is what we're going to jump into today, and some things that struck a chord with me when Amber and I were talking about that work-life balance that so many of us are trying to manage. The first step is that balance doesn't come naturally. Balance doesn't fall into your lap. It's super easy to get focused on one area of your life. And for many people, that's work, because work takes up such a huge part of most of our lives. You have to create balance. It's not gonna, like I said, just happen for you. I'm coming to you today, not because I thought I had it figured out or I did it all right for all these years as a working mom before. I come to you today because I know from my experience that I didn't have any balance. There were no boundaries. Life was chaotic. We were just kind of winging it all the time. And it didn't really work that great for me. So I'm coming from you to you today as someone who has tried really hard to learn how to create balance, boundaries, and to juggle work, family, church, my health, and all of that. My parents divorced when I was 16. Not a shock. It had been a tumultuous upbringing, a little bit, very dysfunctional. And our house was pretty chaotic. We fought a lot. My sister and I fought. My parents fought. My sister and my parents fought. You know, it just was not a peaceful household. And then I got pregnant when I was in college, much to my mom's horror at the time. So I think I was trying to prove something to myself and to my family, to my mom, whatever it was. I had this idea that I'd kind of not done things great up until then. You know, I hadn't done great in college. I was just kind of floundering. My parents hadn't been divorced for long, and life was just super chaotic. So when Scott and I married, and then we had Chelsea, I think I had this chip on my shoulder of, I don't want my house to be like it was growing up. I want a peaceful home, and I want to be a super involved mom, and I want to do it right. So I just erred on the side of proving myself and striving for this perfection that didn't exist. And that just left me really just kind of depleted. I was overweight. I was unhappy. As my kids got older. When they were young, things were better, but as they got older and were teenagers and weren't around as much and didn't need me as much, I realized I don't have a lot going on for myself. I have just dumped everything in this one basket of being mom. I haven't worked out. I haven't nurtured friendships. I am working, but I'm also working a retail job that was long hours and was really demanding. And so I just didn't, I'd kind of thrown it, like I said, into one basket. You know, balance wasn't even on my radar then. I was just winging it. Just life was happening and it was flying by. You know, your kids aren't going to ask you, if you're okay. You know, your 10-year-old son isn't going to come and go, Mom, are you tired? Do you want us to deal with dinner for ourselves? No one's going to check on you. I mean, your spouse you might have that core group of friends, but ultimately balance isn't going to just naturally happen. It takes some work to get there. You know, I didn't speak up for myself very often. As an adult, your kids get a little more honest with you than they were when they were kids, because they feel like, you know, they can say things. And recently my daughters kind of said, you know, you weren't great at asking for help, but you really like to passive aggressively huff around the kitchen. So that's the way apparently I handled things when they were younger. I was so not great at speaking up for myself that I just kind of still tried to do everything on my own. There were a lot of conversations we probably should have had. I should have spoken up for myself. When I went to the casting for Extreme Weight Loss, they actually just held an open casting call in Oklahoma City area. And I went over by myself. It was just a short interview, and then they do callbacks if they want to talk to you again. And they did. They called me that afternoon and said, we'd love to chat with you longer tomorrow, one-on-one. The first call is basically in a group setting, like 10 or 15 people in a room. So I had a longer one-on-one interview with the casting directors. And then they sent me home basically with homework to have some conversations, fill out questions, make videos. And driving home, I just had this sense of dread of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to actually have to talk about what I don't like about my life right now with my family. I'm going to have to talk to my husband and my kids. They want, you know, it becomes a family affair. They want your family invested in the process too. So there were conversations that Scott and I had then that we had not had in a long time, that we'd never had, that I had never been open enough to speak up about. I had this idea that because I gained weight on my own, that I needed to be fixing it on my own. And it's just not true. I mean, I should have been talking to my husband, but my point is that I was not healthy. I was unhappy. I had played super mom for so long. And then I find myself kind of in this weird position of, wow, I'm early 40s here. We had our kids young. We were going to be young empty nesters, and we were going to just do all this fun stuff. But I was not happy, and we needed to make some changes. So I just didn't have any balance then. And I've learned since to speak up for myself. One thing too now is I see a counselor, and recently when I was there, we talked about me feeling like I just still felt stressed and a little run down, and I wasn't sure why. I don't have kids at home anymore. They come over about once a week for dinner. And I said, I got plenty of downtime. You know, I get home from work, we work out, we fix dinner, but then we've got several hours we can do what we want. And she said, you know, there's a difference between downtime and actually recharging yourself. And I was like, that makes sense. And she said, you know, what do you like to do to recharge yourself? And I was like, I'm not even sure. I don't even know what that looks like. So she kind of gave me some homework to think about, what is it that just recharges me and like energizes me? I realized one of those is fresh flowers. I know that sounds kind of maybe shallow, but I love to wake up and have fresh flowers on the bar. It's an instant pick me up when I come out of my bedroom in the morning to see fresh flowers. I actually have some sitting over there right now. I love to read. We love to travel. It's not that easy right now, but when we can, we've tried to get away or do a weekend away. So just think about that. What recharges you? What do you need in your life to be able to set some boundaries and find some balance in your life? You've got to create it. No one's going to create it for you or tell you exactly how to make it happen. Our word of the year at Remax results is leverage. We're talking about how you can leverage your time, your resources to make your business run smoother. But I think it applies to all areas of our life. Leverage the people around you. I didn't do that. I would say, you know, talk to your spouse, be more open when you need help, engage your kids more. I, you know, tried to do everything. I didn't ask for help when I needed it, but carve out those moments. If you need to work out and you need to spend some time with your kids, make it a family affair. Do HelloFresh, find a meal service, you know, hire a tutor. Let some things go that other people can do, that you don't have to be the only one doing it. So that's my first point. Balance doesn't come naturally. You've got to create it. Second point here is that if one area is out of balance, you can't have only one area out of balance. It affects all the other ones. I have this tiny spot of arthritis on my foot. It literally is the size of like a pencil eraser right on the top of my foot. And most days it can be fine, but when it flares up, I can hardly walk. This tiny little spot makes my foot hurt so badly that I can't take a normal step. I have to kind of readjust how I'm walking. And if I do that long enough, that starts to mess with my hips and make my lower back hurt. And then it makes my knees get wonky. And it's so frustrating because I'm thinking, it's the tiniest little spot. How can it be doing that much, messing with my whole body like that? But our life is the same way. If we have one area that is out of whack, is wonky, causes us stress, it's not an island on its own. It's not sitting over there just on its own causing you stress. It affects everything. Stress affects your health. It affects your relationships. If work is stressing you out, that stress comes home with you. You don't leave it at the office. So think about that you can't have just one area that's out of whack. You may be thinking everything's pretty good. It's just this one thing that I tend to struggle with. Work on that one thing, because that one thing is probably affecting other things more than you realize. I love this quote. It says, work is a rubber ball. If you drop it, it's going to bounce back. The other 4 balls, family, health, friends, and integrity, are made of glass. And if you drop one of those, it will be irrevocably scuffed, nicked, perhaps even shattered. That's from Gary Keller. He's a real estate entrepreneur. So I love that. Think about that. Work can always bounce back, but when you're focused on work and you've got that one area that's sucking all the energy out of your life, it's affecting all of the other areas that really do matter most to us. I talked about how I focused on my kids a lot, and that was just kind of the running theme of my life when my kids were home. And we all do. I'm not saying focusing on your kids is a bad thing, but when you're the mom that feels like she has to decorate the locker room, plan all the food for the team, drive your kids to every volleyball tournament for club, year round between school and club and all of that. I loved it, but it also was very much sucking the life out of me sometimes. And my mom used to tell me when the girls were getting like middle school age, she was like, you are going to have to get a life. Like she would just watch me and my kids and how we were living and say, you're going to have to get a life. And I thought, well, yeah, I mean, everyone does, I know that my kids are going to grow up. I get that. But she was right. It hit me so hard when my kids grew up. I struggled. My girls didn't move away to college. They both interned at our church. Scott was just kind of retired from church on the move after 15 years. He was a pastor there. And when my girls graduated from high school, they both did internships at our church and were still living at home. Chelsea lived at home until she was married. Francie, they were both, I think, 22 when they moved out. So we had them extra years past when some families do. But things change, when your kids graduate, even if they live at home, it's not the same as when they're in school. They're working, they're gone, they don't have the same curfews. And it hit me because I kept thinking, why are they gone all the time? Don't they want to spend any time with us? Like, don't they like me anymore? I was just kind of hurt by it, even though it's the natural process of life. And Scott would have to remind me, it's normal for our kids to grow up and move out and have some independence. You've got to find some other things. Francie graduated from high school in 2012 from Lincoln Christian School. And it was in 2013 that I applied for the show because I knew in that first year that she was gone too, that things had to change. It was an extreme choice to do a TV show and go on a show called Extreme Weight Loss. They don't call it extreme for nothing. But it was what I felt like would work for me at the time. So that one area, having like all of everything, is like, I'm spending so much time with my kids. When that went away, I just was lost. I didn't know what I was doing or who I was. It just was this identity crisis of you're so used to being mom first. Even in my intro, I'm a wife, I'm a mom. It's a big part of who we are. So when that starts to trickle away and your kids need you less, it definitely takes a toll. So if I'd had more balance in my life, if I'd had nurtured friendships more or had worked out at the time and felt healthier and we could get out and do more things because of not being hindered by my weight and being intimidated to try new things, it would have been a different ballgame when they left. So being out of balance in one area, it's going to affect all of the others. I love this. Only you can really define what balance or success in your life looks like. You're the only one that knows what you want your life to look like. We get all of these outside things telling us that success, we're supposed to do everything. We're supposed to, be on social media and gather a bunch of followers, and we're supposed to look good and carry ourselves well and dress right. And you're supposed to get married and have kids by a certain age, and you're supposed to make a certain amount of money, and you're supposed to drive a certain kind of car and have a certain kind of house. And all of that is pressure that tells us this is what your life is supposed to look like. And we do that rat race thing. We all buy into it, but we actually get to define what our lives look like. We don't have to do that. So my part of that point is you just have to prioritize what matters to you. Hanging out with friends and doing girls' night might be important to you. Other people, it's not as important. They want to do family nights out, or, they want to do double dates and have their spouses tag along. We were a family that was into sports. We traveled and we did, club volleyball and ran all over the country doing volleyball tournaments. And some families, they don't want to do sports. They don't want to run that rat race of sports because it's a huge commitment. Some people like a quieter life where they read or watch movies. The great thing is you get to decide, you get to prioritize, you get to choose what your family's priorities are. In that, you got to learn to say no. That's tough for me. It's still tough for me. I'm a people pleaser. I like to say yes. I like to make people happy. But if you know what your family's priorities are and what your priorities are, it's a lot easier to say the no to the things that don't fit into that. My husband and I have kind of a motto when it comes to life decisions, big decisions, but also small ones, is that we follow peace. Does that choice bring me peace, or does it make me feel stressed that I'm saying yes to this? Does this choice, does it make me feel good about it, or does it make me feel yuck? Did that conversation make me feel good with someone, or is it bringing me stress? When we find those areas in our life that are bringing us stress, we try to look at what is it that's stressing me and how can I feel peace in that situation? We prioritize sports, running around with my kids, and then kind of jumping straight off of that the next year after Francie was out of high school, I went and did a TV show, as one does. And that show, I was gone for 3 months to Denver for the first 3 months for boot camp. But when I got home, their expectation was that I would work out about 4 hours a day. I did 2 hours of CrossFit every morning. I did an hour of cardio at lunch. And for a good part of the year, I was working with a gymnastics coach in the afternoons, with a choreographer, and then with my coach just on skills. Because at 44, I relearned how to do a back handspring. I was a gymnast growing up, and so that was a big part of why I wanted to get healthy, was just to feel strong and athletic again. So I went from being out of balance in one area to thinking I want to be healthy, and it's going to take this huge commitment to get there. And it was a cool experience. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to show you some pictures here. I got to meet my high school, my young idols. Mary Lou, when I was in high school, she won the Olympics. This is Nadia Comaneci. She won in 1976. And that's me wearing one of her gold medals, which was mind-blowing kind of experience to get to hang out and do gymnastics with Nadia. We talked about her experience in the Olympics. It was just amazing. Those are cool experiences, but they weren't teaching me balance. This is fellow Oklahoman, Shannon Miller. She came to another event we had. So it was great. I was on the Dr. Oz show, which is pretty cool. They flew me to New York. This is Chris Powell, who was my trainer on the show. They flew me to New York. I did the show, flew back the next day, kind of a whirlwind experience. So, those are cool experiences, and the show was a neat experience, but what it didn't do was teach me how to have any balance or how to know what a healthy, actual normal life looked like. They were telling me what it was supposed to look like. And so I was following along with that. As I said, I'm a people pleaser. So when someone tells you losing weight every week will make us happy because that's what we want you to do. That's what I did. I worked out because they said you're supposed to work out 4 hours a day. Okay, if that makes you happy, I'll work out 4 hours a day. You're supposed to lose weight every week. We had weekly weigh-ins. Absolutely, I'm going to lose weight every week. I want to make you happy. I was doing everything to please them, but it wasn't teaching me anything about actually being healthy or how to live a normal life that looks like this is how you take care of yourself on like a normal person does. The show is called Extreme Weight Loss for a reason. It was very extreme. So what I've learned in the years since is that only I can define what my healthy, balanced, normal life looks like. I can't live up to the standards that they set for us then. Next one, number 4, there's going to be crazy seasons. There's going to be weird times that your normal life isn't happening. And we've got to let that not become our new normal. Obviously, 2021 flung a weirdness at all of us. We've heard the word unprecedented and different. I saw a thing that said, I'm looking forward to precedented times. I think we all are. I don't think 2020 was anyone's way that they want to settle into a new normal. We've heard so many people say during this season, and here we are a year later and we're still in that season. So there's going to be seasons in our life that things are out of whack. They don't feel normal. Your schedule's not normal. Something's going on with your kids. You move, you start a new job, you have a baby. All of that throws a wrinkle into our what we call normal and balanced life. And it's okay. It's okay to have those seasons. They're all going to happen. My husband and I moved to Catoosa in March, right in the lockdown. Last week of March, we were moving. We get settled into our new house. We're both working from home at the time. We moved and we stayed moved. Like we moved into this new house and we're like, it's a good thing we like it because we are not leaving. We were home for months with very little going out of the house. And then the weekend of my birthday in June, he had a pretty bad motorcycle wreck. He's fine now, but at the time it was very tough. He had just an arm injury with some road rash, but the worst part was that he had a really bad, what they would call a high-speed concussion. Sorry, my dogs are walking past me now. Which was a pretty major concussion. He couldn't drive. I had to take him to all of his doctor's appointments. He had kind of daily chiropractic care that was helping with his concussion. Just regular doctor's appointments, anything he needed to do for work, which is very minimal when it happened. Obviously, that totally threw us off track. People were bringing us meals, which was such a blessing that I didn't have to cook because we were just consumed with trying to get him well. We stopped working out. Everything was out of whack. But after about 6 weeks, when he started going back to work and was released to drive, we were totally off of our routine, but we realized, all right, we haven't worked out in 6 weeks. We've been eating whatever people show up with. We got to get back on track here. And so we had to get back into our regular routine. It would have been easy to keep on cruise control and just go, oh, we haven't worked out in so long. It's so easy not to. But for our health and just because it makes us feel better, we wanted to get back on track. The other thing I would say when you've got one of those seasons that feels crazy and you're thinking, when are things ever going to calm down? My kids have eaten chicken nuggets for a week in a row. I haven't had time to cook a decent meal. The house is a mess. Give yourself some grace. It happens. We all get there. Everybody has those seasons. Just give yourself a break. Don't beat yourself up when things seem a little cuckoo. No one else is the kids are not caring that they're eating takeout or frozen food every night. Believe me, your kids are wanting chicken nuggets and macaroni and cheese. They don't mind. It's you. It's typically women that really want to beat ourselves up about those times and get frustrated that everything's not running exactly how we want it to. But I would just say, give yourself some grace during those seasons. Like I said, that year that I spent I had a year, literally it was a season, a television season that was not normal, but we just jumped into it because we wanted it to happen. I was so excited about, having a trainer and them, paying for a trainer locally for me to work out and I was losing weight. And it was like what I thought was the dream was to lose weight and get healthy. I remember during the casting process, kind of the famous line that always stuck in my head was, They said, this is not a dressing on the side kind of commitment. This is a no salad dressing for a year kind of commitment. And I thought, I guess I can do that. And it was true. We were allowed salad dressing for a while, but then they cut it out and we just got balsamic vinegar and some seasoning if we wanted a salad. Not the best, but it worked and I did it. But anyway, it was a season that I knew that the end was near. I was able to kind of maintain my sanity during that year because I knew that it was a season of my life and that when it was over, I was going to get back to some kind of normal. But you can't let those crazy seasons be your new normal. You got to kind of look for the end in sight, and reevaluate and figure out how do we get back to some kind of balance and normalcy in our life after this crazy season. Oh yeah, so this is during a year. This is me at CrossFit. CrossFit became a huge part of my life then. My husband and I competed in a CrossFit competition. That was at CrossFit Owasso, my home gym. This is in Myrtle Beach. That's the level I was living on, was that I went and did CrossFit on vacation. I ran every day and I got up and I went to CrossFit one day in Myrtle Beach with my sister not too long after the show was over because I was so used to that extreme mindset and thinking that I had to do all of this. I was just kind of frantic about not gaining weight. So it was just totally out of whack, totally in the ditch on that. So since then, we have found a much better balance that works for our life right now. Because we didn't let that, I mean, there's no way, no one can keep up with working out 4 hours a day. So if you find yourself in a crazy season, reevaluate, take a deep breath, give yourself some grace, figure out what balance can happen during that season, and then reset when that season is over. Last one here. Sorry. There's construction in our neighborhood. We live in a new house, which is great, but also it's a lot of distraction for our dogs. I apologize. Last one, balance is a moving target. The things that work for you today aren't going to be the same 5 years from now. Your kids grow up, job changes, you age, we all change and grow. So if you can't just get stuck in a rut of this is what life looks like, this is what's balanced, this is what's comfortable for me, I'm going to stay right here. You have to reevaluate and know that a balanced life is a moving target. You know, when my kids were home, a clean house was not the top of my priority list. I liked for the living area to be clean, the kitchen remotely clean, but there were probably dishes in the sink. There were probably dishes in my girls' rooms. There was cups. You know, laundry was, let's go find the towels on the floor somewhere because you know they're on somebody's floor and not in a hamper somewhere. Now it's different. I don't have kids at home. Laundry is just a few loads a week. It's nice. All my socks match. You know, everybody has that sock basket. I tell you, when my kids had finally been gone for a while, I just looked at it and thought, these socks are never going to find a match. And I threw them all away. And it was just like the most pleasing feeling to know that I didn't have to deal with a stupid sock basket anymore. You know, everyone has one. Now it's like I'm living my best life. I can do laundry. Every sock has a match. My laundry room's connected to my master closet because we knew it was just the two of us. Everything's going to go into this closet. And we're living our best life with matching socks. So it moves, it changes. You know, the things you expect now aren't going to be the things that you expect then. Many of you spend lots of hours a week driving your kids to school, to practices, whatever else, friends' houses, whatever they've got going on. I know it's changed because of 2020, but those things are still out there. I know sports are still happening on just some level. I found too that when my kids started driving, that changed things for us. You know, the time in the car was like automatic time you got to spend together, that you could talk about things, you could talk about their day on the way home from school. But when they start driving and you don't have that time, you have to kind of take stock and go, where are we actually going to spend some time together? Because now that they're driving themselves everywhere, it changes things. I found that my girls opened up and talked about everything when we got in the car. I don't know if it was because you're facing forward and they're not looking at you eye to eye, but somehow just being in the front seat together, those girls would just open up. We could go to the grocery store and we're grabbing food. We're not really eye to eye. And they would just tell me their whole life story. But once they start driving, those times are gone. So you have to like make the effort to as life changes, as seasons come and go, you have to reevaluate along the way. So it's a moving target. Don't get stuck. One thing, so those are my 5 points. Balance doesn't come naturally. You have to create it for yourself. You can't have only one area be out of balance. That's going to all affect each other. Only you can define what balance looks like for you. These are crazy seasons. There are crazy seasons, and don't let that become your new normal. And balance is a moving target. Reevaluate and readjust. These are some questions that I have found that help me take stock of where am I at? What's life looking like? I listen to a lot of podcasts, and one of them is called Smartless. And it's just basically 3 like celebrity TV movie kind of guys that interview other celebrities. And a few months ago, Martin Short was on there, who is a movie actor, a comedian, but he had some really great things to say. And one of the things was some questions that he asked himself to take stock. So I took those and kind of morphed them to myself since then, and added a few and tweaked them. But one thing is, how is my health? Are you taking care of yourself? One thing I know is that I didn't do that for a lot of years, and it caused me so much stress. I was overweight, and I was so worried about my health that it was a huge distraction in my head all the time. And even though, so then when I did the show, I knew everything because they ran tests all the time. I was being weighed all the time. We had a doctor, we had blood drawn on a regular basis to check everything. So we knew all the numbers. And I realized that it just brought me so much peace to just know that I was healthy. And even though I don't look the same as I did then, and I don't work out like I did then, I have found a good family doctor. I have a well care visit every January. I get my mammogram every year. I do the things I'm supposed to do that I wasn't doing before. And I can't tell you how much peace that brings you. So as a woman, I'm asking you, take care of yourself. Know your numbers. I'm not talking about BMI or just your weight. I'm talking about cholesterol and all of those things that add up for health. So that's a question to ask yourself. How's your health? How's your career? Not just, am I doing great in my career, but am I happy? Is it bringing me stress? What can I do? Do I want to stay in this job, or is there something I can do within this job to make it work better for me? How are my relationships? Those with your spouse or your partner, your kids, your parents. I'm 51 and my parents are in their 70s. And so that adds a new wrinkle that you're not thinking about when you're in your 20s, that at some point your parents aging adds stress to your life. It's another area that you have to balance and juggle, is dealing with your aging parents. How are my relationships with my siblings, my friends? Am I working on those? Am I nurturing those? One that's important to me is, how's my spiritual life? Scott was a pastor, like I said, for all those years. He's recently left full-time ministry and is actually doing real estate with Remax. And so that changed things. When you're a pastor's wife, church is automatic. You're there. He was there for every service. We're deeply involved. So, but now that has changed and he's not a pastor, I had to look at, okay, how do I make sure that I keep my spiritual walk where I want it? How do I stay engaged with church with him not being on staff? And so it was good to take stock and kind of make some tweaks in that area. Or how is my creativity and my hobbies? This goes down to that downtime and recharging. What are things that you just like to do? Do you ever give yourself a chance to do those? Do you make time for those? I love to decorate my house. It is a new house, and we kind of got things done, I guess you could say, when we moved in. But now even I like to look around and think, is there something I could change here? Do I want to add a plant? My daughter, Chelsea, is kind of a plant lady. So most of the plants that you see were gifts from her because she's making me a plant mom too. So make those times. These questions, the 5 of them, are just great questions to ask yourself on, how am I doing? How's the balance? How's my life looking? For me, I have found now that what works for us is we work out about 4 days a week. This is my husband and I after a workout in our garage. I've had a couple of knee surgeries. Like I said, I have a little bit of a foot issue. So CrossFit is not part of my life right now. It was not working for me. I had to reevaluate after my second knee surgery and just think, is this extreme of a workout what's going to work for me? Or do I want to change how I work out? thankfully, the show gave me a really nice elliptical and a treadmill. We've since bought a rower and a bike, and they gave us some other dumbbells and kettlebells and that kind of stuff. So we have a pretty great home gym, which is a big blessing. So we work out 4 days a week, about 30 to 40 minutes each time. And it keeps me healthy. My health is much different. When I did the show, I thought, I had to work out like a maniac and punish myself to feel like I had done enough. And now I just want to do enough that I can stay healthy. My heart is healthy, especially during COVID. My lungs are strong. And that's working for me. I work 4 days a week. I used to work a full-time job that during Christmas, I was expected to work 6 days a week, a lot of hours during that Christmas season because of the retail. And like I said, I work for Remax Results. I love my job. I work 4 days a week. There's a lot of flexibility. I'm working from home today, so I could do this. And that works for me. My kids are grown. I've talked about them a lot. I'm still a super involved mom, but we like to vacation. We went to Florida in September. The girls come over for dinner about once a week. This is Hannah, who's their best friend and tags along with us on a lot of things. But we have found, we're not always right. We're not getting it. Life's not perfect, but we have found what's working for us. We've created a life that is not extreme anymore, not in a ditch somewhere about, obsessing over my kids or obsessing over my health. I'm finding a way to spend time with my family, be healthy, feel strong, be happy in my work environment. And it's working for me. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this. I hope this helps you navigate a more balanced, healthier life for you. And I appreciate you guys tuning in today. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Georgiana. We appreciate you sharing your story with us. We can all definitely relate to juggling so much as women, trying to eat healthy and work out and find time for all of that on top of everything else that we're responsible for. And it's definitely challenging. Some of the key words that you mentioned that I picked up on were reevaluate. It's okay to reevaluate your situation and to find balance that works for you and to give yourself grace. All great points. So I think it's safe to say if you had a New Year's resolution that started January 1st and you haven't kept with that, it's okay to reevaluate and start over and pick up where you left off. Thank you again, Georgiana. I want to thank again our sponsors for today's event, our platinum presenting sponsor, NetLink Solutions. Our gold sponsors are Arrow Exterminators, Balanced Bookkeeping, Harmon Insurance, Hayhurst Funeral Home, Littleton Legal, and Nelson Nissan. Thank you again for joining us today, and we hope to see you all very soon.